World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Jana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
She was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be lethal to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She is magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is now.
Greetings and welcome to Access Wealth Nation with Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse, and Happy New Year, new beginnings. And of course, we're broadcast on the Soul City Network and on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem, the soul of Harlem. And I just want to welcome you into this new year, this new vibration. And of course, I have to give my offerings to you. We have the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker book that you're welcome to receive. Just send me through Anaj Enterprises Inc. at gmail.com. Please make sure that you give me your address so I can mail them off. I have gotten requests and then I send back to ask, what's the address? This is not an ebook. It is a physical book. Takes all of maybe an hour to read, but we'll give you some of the basics to get your checkup from the neck up and start to move towards whatever the resolutions you made to get your finances in order. World can be a lot simpler if you have a plan. Therefore, you're not planning to fail. And that leads us to the next, which is if you would like a free financial analysis from my office, no obligation, just to have a plan to help you to reach your goals and your dreams. Just dial 646-375-2121, and we'll be glad to set you up with one of my really trained associates. And that being said, we found out there has been over 40 million people who have just dropped from the job market and maybe looking for a new career, because of this COVID situation. I know a lot of people are trying to find new beginnings for themselves because they don't want someone ruling their lives and telling them what they can and can't do. I'm staying out of the politics. I'm just saying, if you are a person who is interested and would like to hear more about how to become a financial advisor, please reach out to me at 646-375-2121. And I'll be able to talk with you. I'm looking to mentor approximately 12 individuals going into the industry. It is such a need right now. People are making so many mistakes, so many mistakes. And the only way that we can correct it is through education, financial educators. That is something that has not been a big ploy in the industry as far as finance. You know, we basically have kept you kind of dumb and not what they call the sucker. You know, stop being the sucker. And we have basically put you in a position in the financial service industry to just do as I say. I don't believe in that. I think that you really need to have the knowledge, and it's not that difficult. I would love to say that you'd have to be a neuroscientist to become a financial advisor or get your finances together, but that's not really true. The Wall Street Journal, as people use as the Bible for finances, is at a 12th grade reading level. And that coincidentally, the book that we have, How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker, was written for 13-year-olds. So don't be shameful. Our schools don't teach financial literacy. There's about 21 high school level schools that teach financial literacy, and they do things like how to balance a checkbook. How terrible. We don't even have checkbooks anymore. So those of you who are watching right now, please, share with others. Let them know that I'm on as usual. And also that if you have any questions tonight, please share them and we will try to get to you. Feel free to ask, because tonight's topic is steps you can take now to make your tax filing for 2022 easier. As you all know, I've been in the financial service industry as an accountant for 44 years. This is my 44th year. That's a very serious number for me. And in doing so, I've seen the world of taxes change immensely. I remember back in the days when we used to do taxes with a piece of carbon paper between and start writing. Now we're up to the computer age, and then people are filing their taxes on their own. But there's some things you really need to know. I know I've said it before in tax seasons, but this is really going to be a difficult tax season, and you have to prepare for it. Don't just think that you're going to fill in some numbers and it's going to all happen. I would love to say that's the case, but that's not the case. What's going to happen is there are some documents you're going to need, things you need to present, because if you don't have them or you enter them incorrect, you will not get your refund or you may start to owe. So, this is very important. Thanks a lot, Robert. And so I'm getting ready to give you some little tidbits. I hope that it will be, matter of fact, I'm going to take a moment and clear my glasses because I need to make sure I don't miss anything. This is so important to prepare. First and foremost, I know it's not been the norm for us to open up an account with IRS. I would highly recommend that you go to irs.gov. This should be your friend. I will say it's a little difficult this year as it was last year. IRS is still processing paper returns, and they're anticipating that the paper returns that will be rectified will take about another 8 to 16 weeks. That's taking us into, if you calculate that, it's going to bring us into probably March. The tax filing process, e-filing, that can start, it will start January the 24th. They first said it was going to be the 31st. They changed it. It's January 24th. That is when the first e-filing takes place. But you need to do some prep before it because you need to have certain documents. So we're going to go through a few things. I hope if you have any questions, please feel free to chime in and ask. because this does get a little bit confusing. The first thing is online. You should go to irs.gov and open up an online account. Why? Because it will help you to see some of the things that you may not be able to answer but need to file your tax returns, such as the economic impact payment. That's your stimulus payments. Now, last year, that was very difficult. It was a time people really honestly, they received the 1200 or they received the 600 and they couldn't remember. They had to go back to their banks to find out. I don't know why people got to that level that they didn't know what they received. I mean, someone give me $600 or $1,200, I know whether it came in or not. But that being said, if you go to irs.gov and you open up your online account, it will be specifically directly connected to you. Now, I will say, if you don't have a credit card, a traditional credit card, not a debit card, it might be a little difficult to open up the account because they ask you different questions of purchases, loans that you've had. Yeah, they're all in your business. Okay, so you have to prep for that. But if you can, set up that account. In that, you can review and see what economic impact payments, the stimulus money, did you get? What did you really receive? Now, some of you, let me tell you, there were people who thought they did not receive the 1200 or the 600 or multiples if they had multiple people in their household. They think they didn't receive it. You might have received it. If the IRS did not have your bank account number, or they did not have for a direct deposit, and they didn't send the check or the check got sent back, they also issued what's called debit cards. And a lot of those debit cards, I'm warning you, the debit cards from the government, they look just like the credit card offers. It was a blank envelope, and a lot of people threw it out. So you have to go back to irs.gov and basically say, where is my economic impact payment? Well, by doing so, this is just for those in 2021, which you received for the 1200 and the 600. There was a 1400. So that was 2020. I'm sorry, correction, 2020. So for 2021, you received $1,400 or should have, or maybe you weren't eligible for it. So to get a good account, the best thing is to go and online, set up your online account. And also the beauty in it is that if you have an accountant or a financial advisor or one that you want to have access to assist you with it, they can also, if they're registered with the IRS, you will be able to link and let them see and help you. Because I'm telling you, you're going to need some help. Okay, so next was access to the child tax credit update. Now, you'll know that the ruling was for July to December. If your child was 6 years old and less, you were eligible for $300. If the child was 7 years old to 17, you were eligible for $250. Now, there are some ramifications to it. How much money did you make? And I'm not going to do that right now. We can do that another session if you need it. But if you get your account, you will know how much you received. I have heard some horror stories. There are people who I thought should not have received any of the child tax credit because they made too much money, over $150,000 for a couple, $75,000 for a single person. They received money. So we may be paying money back. Be prepared for this. You might have to pay some back. That was considered an advanced child tax credit. Okay. Next thing that you can do is to, from that site, if you have an account online site, you can also get key data like what type of W-2s have been filed, what's your 1099s, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But your information. Also, if you have a payment plan with the IRS, which if you have one, make sure you keep it current. But you can look up to 5 years of your payments to IRS if you owe them. So this is a serious time. I want y'all to get pen and paper out, or bring out your phones and take note. Gather and organize your tax records. These are the things you need to prepare for. I'm warning you, because if you don't have it and you file it wrong, they're going to let it sit. So refund is not an option. And if you owe and it was filed wrong, they have a right to penalize you. So you don't want this to happen. So organize your tax records, get prepared. Now, what are you looking for at that point? Now, we're in the age of technology, so you probably don't have to wait till they mail you a W-2. Most of the time, people don't need that because IRS and ADP and all the payroll companies have it usually online. But make sure you wait till you get it. If somebody tells you they can prepare your tax return off of your last pay stub, that is a loan. That is not a preparation of a tax return. They're lying to you. And it costs. It will cost. There's always a cost for it. So be careful. There's a lot of companies, especially in our urban area, that do something called a refund anticipation loan. So be very careful. Know what you're doing. Number one, you should have your financial strategies put together, because if you're waiting for a refund to free you up, you got the wrong idea. Refund, think about what it is. A refund is, I paid the government too much money and they're going to give it back to me with no interest. Who does that? Okay, that just doesn't make sense to me, but it has never all the years that I've been. So you need a strategy to see whether or not, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too tonight. I'm going to rush through because I know I only have my hour of power. Look for your 1099 forms. That's from the banks. That's from certain agencies that would issue, like Social Security, or if you're on a pension, or you have an annuity, retirement plan. Oh, key factor. I'm hoping and praying all of you out there who had to do required minimum distribution, I am praying that you took it. If not, you're going to have a little bit of a problem, because if you did not take your distribution, 50% of what you should have took is going to be taxed and taken out as a penalty. But that being said, we still have unemployment compensation. People think unemployment is not taxable. Yes, it is. Dividends, distributions from your pension, your annuity, your retirement plan. Okay, so you got to get your paperwork. And some of it doesn't come right away, or some of it is coming through the internet, online, through their website. Before you turn your paperwork in or you file your tax returns, please, make sure you have all of your documents. Take a look at your previous year tax returns. Make sure that you have all of your documents, because if you don't, you are going to delay your refund, or you're going to wind up paying some type of penalty. There's a form that has been in existence for years called the 1099-K. I'm calling out all the folks who have, Zelle. What's the other ones? We have Venmo, Cash App. Okay, you've been doing PayPal. The law and legislation came out that there is a 1099-K, which shows your transactions in doing business. So there's no more hidden. It really isn't being enforced this year as much as it will be for the 2022 tax filing year. But make sure that you got it. Now, if you did what we call the gig economy, that, look for someone. Just don't assume that they're not going to send you one. If they haven't sent you one by January 31st, then that means that you need to put that income and keep record of that income and file it. Do not assume that, oh, they're not going to claim it, I don't have to claim it. That's not the way that IRS works. And that can happen to you where you didn't claim it. And 3 years later, IRS says, ha ha, we think that you did make some extra money. Prove that you didn't. So don't put yourself in that position. There's also 1099 miscellaneous, of course, your W-2s. These are the statements that you receive for receiving income because the companies are writing it off or the individual who paid you is writing it off. So you need to report that income. Make sure all income, because if understating income, if you do that, then you have a good chance of where you're going to be hit with a penalty for not properly reporting income. And consciously, it's assumed by IRS that you just purposely did not report that income. Your 1099 INT, which is interest from the bank or paid from some type of investment, anything that creates income. Now, I'm going to talk to my little cryptocurrency people. All right. You think that no one knows. If you haven't noticed, this year for 2021, there were many accounts that were needing to report your social security number. Beware, it's coming. On your tax returns for the past 3 years, that's counting this filing, it has asked, did you receive any virtual cryptocurrency, any type of Bitcoins, any levels of it? Did you receive it? There's a reason for that. Why? That's income. So therefore, if it's income, not as an investment, but if someone paid you in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, that's income to be paid taxes on. I had a gentleman, Matthew Lewis, on who laid it out as well as possible. He is a cryptocurrency, I call him a pioneer. And he said, be prepared to pay the taxes. That means capital gains. So it will be taxed and it will be checked. And also on your tax return, there's a little box that says, did you receive? Did you trade? Did you buy? If you check that box and say no, you have just created perjury. And that's punishable under IRS. Don't put yourself in that position, especially most of you don't have that much put in there. So why would you do that? Put yourself in that position. All income is to be reported. Of course, there's expenses that are also reported that will lower the income. And that's why you need a good accountant when you're in this world. There's a 1095 health insurance marketplace statement. Now there's the 1095 A, B, C. You usually always get it and people say, oh, the accountants will say, I don't need it. If you were on the marketplace, if there was a premium that you paid or did not pay because it was covered in by a discount process, you may have to pay taxes on it. So you have to bring that to your accountant or include it in your filing. Now this year, there's going to be a letter. Some of you might have already received it. It is the 6419. Now that letter, I don't have a copy of it. I didn't receive child tax credit, but the thing is that that form is for the advanced child tax credit, which is supposed to help you do a reconciliation of what you received and what you should have received. Excuse me. So that form, you should hold on to it. You need to be able to use that. And you need to hold it in your tax records for 3 years, at least 3 years. Why? Because IRS can do an audit and review in that 3-year period. If you're a business, they can go back 7 years. So be careful. There's also one that's coming, another letter. So there's some letters coming to you. And grant you, listen to me, IRS contacts you and talks to you through mail. It is very rare that, unless you're not listening to them when they want to talk to you, Are they going to make a telephone call? And definitely, they're not going to call you and tell you that you need a refund and that you need to file paperwork. They're not going to do that. Everything is in writing. Why? They're IRS. They don't have to worry about paying postage. Okay? So they will send it to you. They're not going to email you. They don't even have your emails in most cases. So please be careful, because there's a lot of spams out there. And if somebody really does contact you that way, go back to irs.gov /spam, scam, 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 and report it, because it is truly a scam. They don't reach you that way. But the 6475 form, that's for your refund not the refund, listen to that. It is the economic impact payment. That's your stimulus money. So there should be you should have gotten it last year, but a lot of people didn't get it, to see whether you're eligible, because you're not going to file for your 2021 tax returns anything that has to do with 2020's returns. So if you didn't get your 600 or your 1200, you can't claim it on 2021's taxes. You have to go back to irs.gov and say, okay, I never got it and I should have gotten it, and fill out some forms there. But if you have the 6475 form, that should tell you whether you've gotten the 1400, or if the 1400 was due for the children that you had that year, any corrections. If it's not correct, then what you have to do is you will put it on your tax returns for 2021 filing. That means that some people were eligible to receive the 1400, did not get it. We can claim it like we did in 2020's return. You can get it, okay? But the thing is only for that. So you can't put down, oh, I didn't get the 1200 and I didn't get the 600. Again, that is not addressed in your 2021's tax returns. Now, I want you to remember some incomes that are taxable. Unemployment. Now, we don't have that $10,200 exclusion anymore. So you're going to pay taxes on it. I am praying that while you're receiving unemployment, that you did withhold. If not, you're in a dangerous position. I'm just being real. Refund interest from the state. If you were eligible for itemized deductions and you received refund interest, that kind of thing, because they paid you late. A lot of people received refunds late last year, and they got a little refund from the IRS, a little extra money. You got to add that into your income. Income from the gig economy. We talk about gigging now. Well, anything that you get as far as that's considered income if it's part of the gig economy. If you walked a dog, if you picked up people's mails, you stood online. Yeah, I'm giving you some ideas for gig economy. If you didn't receive a 1099, that does not mean that you did not receive the income, which means that that money is taxable. Okay. And of course, virtual currency. If you paid a certain amount on the virtual currency, you paid $10 and you made $15, that $5 is called capital gains. So you have to claim that. And now you can also, because it's on a special schedule, Schedule D, you can possibly be able to write off any broker's fees or any other expenses that took to get that money. But that's why you sit with an accountant. And if you're not, and you're using some of the electronic services, make sure you answer those questions to the best of your knowledge. And if you go to the factory, I'm talking about the factory, the H&R Blocks, the Jackson Hewitts, whatever that's out here, make sure that they're asking you questions, that you're not just handing them your paperwork and they've got to, especially this year, ask you certain questions. That leads me to another level of, just to let you know, just because you paid the bills in your household does not mean you're head of household. IRS sees head of household as a totally different level. What is head of household? Head of household means that you're taking care of over 51% of a household with a qualified individual. Now, who's a qualified individual? Could be a child, could be a disabled adult, can be your parents, but you have to provide that income and taking care of that household. So that's a real technicality there. And that if you're in that position, it is mandated by every tax accountant, preparer, registered enrolled agent that they identify whether or not an individual is truly head of household. We've had a lot of fraud take place where one parent claims the child and the other parent claims the child and different. They're not playing that anymore. So be very careful. Those of you who have foreign ID but are eligible to be living in the United States, there's something called an ITIN. It is an individual tax identification number. It is not a social security number, and there are levels of where it is valid. It's usually when you're a dependent of someone, but you are not a resident of the United States to have a social security number. Be very careful with this, but they do expire. So just to let you know, if in your TIN wasn't on your federal return for 2018, 19, and 20, then it has officially expired as of December 31st, 2021. There are reminders that are out there. Do not play with this, because if you put down someone's ITIN number and it is not current, that is also a level of penalty that can be served to you, because the person can't be claimed as a dependent without it. Now, of course, those who are citizens of the United States are here and not diplomatic, diplomats and things like that. You do have the ability to use a social security number. That leads me to something really serious that's been going on. We have had an immense amount of what we call identity theft. There are people who I know for a fact, I've had clients of mine call me immediately and say, I got to file early because so and so has got my child's social security number. For real? Parents who can't seem to get it together. One parent claims when they shouldn't claim the child or the adult that they're taking care of. Let's get this thing straight and get right. Do not take someone else's identity. I remember some years ago, I had, there was a daycare center down the block from where I live, and it was horrific. Someone went in, took all the children's social security numbers, because since 1987, you had to have a social security number to claim a dependent. And they took them, sold them, and the parents were getting their tax returns kicked back. Well, if your tax return is returned from process e-filing, and the situation was someone else, because the statement will come, someone else filed this social security number as a dependent. I mean, I'm seeing it where even adults are being taken as dependents, wrongfully filed. You will delay your your refund. It's going to happen. You're going to have to file a paper return. Again, delayed even more. It can be up to not the normal 21 days. It can be almost a year. But you must file a form that's 14039. 14039 has to be filed. That's for identity theft. It is sad when people are claiming children. Number one, my issue with it is, if you're claiming a child that you're not taking care of, when that child gets ready to go to college and they need financial aid and everything, are you going to put that money up in there? And parents, stop selling your child's social security number. Because you're not claiming the child does not mean that you can give it to somebody else, give their social security to someone else. You are causing perjury, fraud, and it is punishable. So don't play with this. But yes, identity theft is a major issue that's taking place. If it occurs, the first thing you need to do is go to the precinct and report it. Report that someone stole. Yes, it's not the same as someone going in and taking your wallet or your cell phone, but it is theft. It's an identity theft. And so you have to, and especially if it's done to a child, this specific form will has to be filed and with the paper return. And if you're looking for a refund, do not, hopefully your accountant, the tax software, whatever you're using, will be very truthful to you. It is a long process. IRS right now has 50% of their normal reviewers to handle the tax returns. So it is really a delayed process. It's already going to be delayed. I'm just doing this show to make sure that the things you can prevent from it being delayed, your refunds being delayed if you're looking for a refund. You must have your filing done by April 18th. Tax returns need to be done, and IRS is doing a hard close. So unless you file an extension, and I'm telling my clients, please, I do not want to be stuck in extension hell. So I suggest get your paperwork in early, file early. But the thing is, make sure you have all of your paperwork. Okay. So what are you waiting for? If you just have a W-2 form, you worked one job, you didn't have any investments, you're okay. Go ahead and file. And you could probably file one of the softwares, simple return. But make sure you have your W-2s from all your employers. Many times we move from employer to employer, or the job closed and you don't know how to get the W-2 form. Let me tell you how that works. If the job has closed and you can't get in touch with anyone, then what you have to do, this is the only time IRS will allow you to file, and it's a specific form that has to be filed to say that I don't have a way to file I did not receive a W-2. I have no way of getting it, and they will allow you to use a pay stub, but they're going to go after the employer, because if you're a business, you're supposed to issue that W-2 form or the 1099 to individuals. So just checking to see what else needs to be, make sure that you look for. Okay. Now there's another thing that I wanted to give you a heads up. People filing this year, matter of fact, last year, our W-4, those old W-4s we used to fill out and say single or married or head of household, and then how many dependents you get, how many exemptions. If you didn't know, by now it's changed. It looks a lot different. So what do? You can go to, and it's a special site on irs.gov. There's a thing called the tax withholding estimator. You can put it in the little search engine at the top. It's usually on the top right hand corner, and just put in tax withholding estimator. That will help you to fill out your W-4 form. That's going forward. Can't do anything about what happened last year. But the thing is, if you're getting a very large tax return, that commercial that's out there where Larry's standing on the table and he's dancing because he got a $10,000 refund. Larry's stupid. Okay, Larry's a sucker. Why? Because that $10,000, Larry all year long could have had $833 put into an investment, put against his debt, could have done anything with that all year long and broke even, instead of the government holding his money for the 12 months and then giving it right back to him. Think about these things. But you may want to change your withholding. If you ended up last year, or when you file your tax returns for 2021 this year, and you end up owing, you may want to change your withholding. Either change your withholding or put more money into your retirement plan. It's better in your retirement plan and you get it later than to put it into IRS's hand, who not going to give you back anything. That's just my platform. Why do I want to give more money to the government and they give me nothing back? I just want to pay what's rightfully I'm supposed to and let it go. So I say, there was a Larry, laughing at Larry, hey, LaQuantum. And so that's one of the biggest things that we have to look at. How much? Now, if you have a 1099 job or you just receiving income, you need to make sure that you withheld properly. There's a thing called estimated tax. What is estimated tax? It's I didn't pay any taxes during the year, or I paid every quarter. I can pay every quarter, every 3 months, and make sure that I've paid enough, because there's a penalty for under withholding. Yes, it can be up to over $500 penalty. Don't put yourself in that position. You can go to that tax withholding estimator and you'll have the opportunity at that point to figure out, am I withholding properly? If not, if you go to your accountant, go to your tax advisor, whatever, and or go straight to the site and do it yourself. Why? Because some of you get Social Security. Guess what? Social Security can be taxable. There's some formulas there. And so it can happen. If you have investments, you get a large investment, you sold your house and you got a profit, taxable in some cases. Someone needs to go through that with you. You've got to check. Okay, it says, how should entertainers and Uber drivers file? Okay, entertainers, if they're not on a W-2, because I will say that somehow IRS got a hold of our Broadway folks and put them on a W-2. Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, people who get a 1099, they need to file usually a Schedule C, depending upon the status that how they registered their business. So that's a whole nother talk about that. But they need to make sure that they've paid enough in taxes. You must pay at least 90% of your previous tax liability. 90%. This is why when we're in school, percentages count. Okay, so you need to know, what did you pay last year? How much income did you make this year? And how much you need to pay to do your estimated taxes. Now, I will give a warning. You got a little heads up and a little grace period. January 18th, which is coming in 5 days, you have an opportunity to file what's called an estimated tax return. It's the last day that you're eligible to file an estimated tax, January 18th. So one thing you need to do is make a beeline. If you made a considerable amount of money, either go to the tax withholding estimator or get to your accountant ASAP, because you only have a couple of days to be able to file, and make sure you have the money and pay it. Okay, so that's one of the things. You can log in also to irs.gov/payments, and there you can make the payment. Okay, if I'm an entertainer, is my health insurance tax deductible? Okay, that's a tax question. It's a depend. I know I'm going to be the depend person. It depends on what your situation is. Health insurance is not technically deductible from income. It is deductible if you itemize your tax returns. That means that you have other deductions like medical, mortgage interest, real estate tax, contributions, church and charities. If that's the case, then as you calculate your income, you have to take 7.5% of that income. It's called an adjustable income. If you do that, then if it comes over that, then you may be able to deduct the medical insurance, your health insurance, your medicines, prescriptions, doctor visits, all those things, dental, transportation back and forth to the doctor, the dentist, to the hospital, all those things. That's when you're in that situation, you need to sit with somebody that knows the field and contact. And again, you can always use our Naj Enterprises. I have some proficient people working with me to help you to figure out what you need to do. Again, you can always go to the factories, or you can also use some of these other tax programs. Just this year, I would highly recommend don't take chances. Work with a professional. It's worth the fee because in the long run, it can really cost you. The other thing, if you really want to get your refund faster, make sure you have your documents. Remember that. All your documents. Make sure you know whether you got your stimulus money. The third thing is set up for when you file your returns a direct deposit. I know some people are avoiding direct deposits for whatever reasons they have, but direct deposit will get your refund to you faster as opposed to a check. There are some facilities that will allow you to do a, a debit card. I'm not promoting any of that. I'm just saying is that if you do a direct deposit, it will get you to your refund faster than a paper return. There are also things that I put out a warning is that make sure you have the money to pay the person who's doing the tax returns. If not, there are some programs that you can take. They can take the money out of your refund. It's going to cost you. Refund anticipation loans, they cost. So that's taking away, number one, the government is giving you back the money that you gave them. All right. No interest. Then you're going to pay extra money to get the money back faster. Don't do that. Okay. The only thing is that what you do is that if you set up the direct deposit and you e-file, electronic file, it will probably take about 14 to 21 days for you to get your refund. Another key factor that IRS gave us, which was good for you who are veterans, thank you for your service. There are veteran benefit banking programs out here because some people just don't have a bank account. You don't need to be going to a check cashing place. Here we go again. You're going to pay someone to give you the money that you were rightfully due, and they're paying extra money. Doesn't make sense. So set yourself up for direct deposit. It doesn't cost anything. Make sure that if you don't have a bank account, there are places you can go to open up a bank account. Even Cash App, I know, allows you to be able to direct deposit. It's interesting, just as a statistic, to know that IRS loves to give direct deposit because a check costs them $1 to issue, where it's only a dime for a direct deposit. So they're looking to cut their budget too. So these are some of the things that you need. I know the time is crossing over, and I want to make sure I cover everything. The key is to avoid, because everybody's counting on their refunds, is to avoid delay. And this year, it is more of a chance that you will or could run into a delay. So to protect yourself, make sure that you know what you got for your rebate, and if you need to get a recovery rebate, make sure that you got all of your forms. You need to make sure that you count all of your income. Make sure that you also, are able to, if you've done some cryptocurrency, stocks, bonds, all the rest of the stuff, that's all types of investments. Make sure you have, especially if you do these automated services like Robinhood or Betterment or any of them, make sure you get the forms and file them, because the income, it can be income or it can be a loss, and you need to be able to make sure that you have your paperwork to follow through. These are the things that are so important. Take your time. I know a lot of people suffered last year, and some of my clients, I still am apologizing for the extensions that had to be filed. But it's better to file an extension than to end up not having all your documents. People sold their homes last year. You need to know when you sold your home, you need to know what you purchased your home for. And then the difference between what you purchased your home for and what you sold it for. That means that you need to have the accounting statement that was done at the closing. If you don't have it, call the attorney now and say, I need that paperwork. You know, if you own homes that you rent, rental income is taxable. I'm sure you know this. But you also get to deduct if you spend things on repairs, depreciation on the property. There's things that are deductible. So you need to make sure you have your documents correct. Do not rush and go to the accountant or file the return and find out that you left income out or you left deductions out. That's called an amendment. That means you have to amend the return. That can cost you more money because you have to pay for the that era of rushing, and then you have to then maybe wind up paying taxes because of income that was not counted. So don't rush, but make sure that you know what you're getting ready to file. Okay. Your best hint is to look 2 to 3 tax years in advance. Now, also, I'm going to talk to my young folks, my college students. Please have a conversation with your parents before you file. You earned maybe $1,000, $2,000, and you wanted to get that refund money, but you might have cost your parents thousands of dollars because your education credit. That's another thing. Oh, key. Almost forgot that. 1098T. A 1098T, if you are eligible for, let's put it this way, an education tax credit. If that's the case, you were more than half of the year a student, you had the opportunity, you paid for school, even if you didn't physically pay for it, it came from student loans, or even in some cases, well, you can't get a deduction for a scholarship. But if you owe school debt, then at that point, it may be a credit for you. And if you're eligible for it, you might have knocked your parents out of it where you didn't even need it. Please sit down and talk to your parents before you jump up and file a return just to get a couple of dollars. Okay. Now, there's also, I will call attention to you, and I'm still finding out more and more about it, but there is a student loan um, forgiveness program. It's really related to the federal loans, but also it can relate to people who teach in schools, uh, underprivileged areas, things like that. There's a whole slew of things. Under normal circumstances, in a forgiveness situation, you usually have to pay taxes on the forgiveness. It's called a 1099-C. Okay, that means cancellation of debt. Student loans under the forgiveness program will not have to add that to their income, but you need to look to see what qualifies, or go to a financial planner or an accountant to help. That's what they're there for. Yes, you're going to pay, but it may be worth you paying so that you don't have to pay later. You know, I'm hoping that this was helpful to you. This is so important. We're opening up the tax season on January 24th. You have until April the 18th to file. If you have, and some of you will hear this and understand it because you have it, if you have a partnership, a subchapter S corporation, it is mandatory that you file by March the 15th. I'm almost certain that it's going to be the 15th. If it falls on a weekend, then you of course, you get a little privilege. No, the March the 15th is on a Tuesday. So you must have those returns filed before you can file your personal returns. Don't play with this. And if you don't see that you can get the information to your accountant fast enough, then get to them to file an extension, because you cannot file the partnership or the subchapter S after you filed your tax returns. There it goes again, another amendment. Conversation, communication is key. It is so important. And so at this point, I think I've covered everything, but you need to make sure that you're claiming, if you are eligible for it, to claim your recovery rebate credit. You should get a financial needs analysis so that you can prepare for the years going forward. We need plans because so much is changing in our world. Also, the recovery rebate credit, you go online, you can check and see what you received. Look out for paperwork from irs.gov. And to avoid delays, one little side note that's running in my ear a bit. Your refund should be something that you use to build your legacy, to build your capital, to have something for the future. That does not mean, because all the stores I know in my community come out with all of these, you can buy your furniture, use your rebate, use your refund check. We'll give you extra double or nothing on your. Don't fall for the okie doke, please. Start to plan so that you will make sure that you don't plan to fail. Take your refunds, take your time, work with a planner, and build assets and have something for the future. So I want to thank you all for watching. I hope it was helpful. I hope you learned something today. And this is also replayed on our system for on Roku and Comcast through Soul City, or even on Facebook. You can come back to this to Access Wealth Nation or Soul City Network and get a chance to replay. I know I gave you a lot of information. So when in doubt, give us a call, send us an email. If you like the book, make sure I get your address, address, so that I know where to mail it. It has been a pleasure serving you. And see you next week. We've got more information, lots of great information. This is the year of information and financial freedom. Again, this is Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse giving you your checkup from the neck up with Access Wealth Nation. Be blessed.
She was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be lethal to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She is magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is